Reverend Jessie Brandon. I'm a life cycle celebrant as well as an ordained minister. And you are watching Epiphanies. And how I came to be on this show is I get to bring my two loves together, which is people and books. So I hope you're comfy and you've got a cup of tea or a cup of cocoa or something to keep you warm. And today we're talking about Hope for the Flowers. This is by Trina Paulus. And I have with me today Kimberly Sunshine Parry, and she is the butterfly whisperer. So you also sing, don't you, Kimberly?
I play the flute, Jessie.
You play the flute.
So definitely a musician.
Okay,
You're
definitely
correct.
a musician.
Yes.
Well, I knew that too. So now I want to know, why did you choose this book to bring to Epiphanies?
I chose this book. It is something that really touched my life in an interesting period. And I'll tell you just a little bit about the book to let the viewers know what we're talking about here. So on the front of it, I'm just going to put this up again because the author is also the illustrator. And this book has been around since 1972. And I'm going to use her own words to set up what the book is about. Okay. She says, "This is the tale of a caterpillar who has trouble becoming what he really is." And so that gives you the first hint. And it actually follows two characters learning to navigate their life in their world and the lessons that they learn along the way.
Neat.
And it's filled with metaphor, which is what I really like. And I actually describe it as a transformational children's book for adults of all ages.
Oh, neat.
And what I really like is that it's really relatable across generations and across cultures. And if I remember correctly, I believe it's been translated into 20 different languages.
Nice.
So it's really impactful, and it brilliantly incorporates simple and profound wisdom across disciplines.
Nice.
And I just wanted to point out, because it really is a spectacular book that everyone can relate to. And you know how when you go to the bookstore, on the back of the books, they'll tell you where you can find a particular book, what section. This one includes children's, inspiration, self-help, philosophy, psychology, and religion.
Wow.
So that's how relatable it is.
Very good.
As the message suggests, the overall message is hope, and it highlights the natural desire for more, to have more, to be more, to do more. And in caterpillar language, because it's about caterpillars, you know, to climb higher. And it's a personal journey about how to do that without stepping or crawling on another.
Nice.
So, and if you'd like me to answer your question about why it was so important to me, I could read a few passages if you like.
Yes, absolutely. I'm already into the story.
Into the story. Well,
yeah.
All right, so it starts with a caterpillar, a striped caterpillar, who coincidentally his name is Stripe. So he emerges from the egg and he starts eating the first leaf, then the next leaf, and he eats and eats. So I'm going to pick it up here. So he's eating lots of leaves. Until one day he stopped eating and thought, there must be more to life than just eating and getting bigger. It's getting dull. And that starts the story. So thinking that there's more to life, he goes on a journey and he finds other caterpillars that are too busy to talk to him because guess what? They're eating and getting big.
Yeah.
So he keeps on his journey and all of a sudden he finds himself in a line of a lot of caterpillars who are running, like they are on a mission. They are going somewhere. So next thing he knows, he just joins the line until he literally comes to a caterpillar pillar. This is a pillar of caterpillars that are going right up into the sky. It is so tall that nobody can see where they're going. But everyone knows, except him, that there's something up there. He joins the caterpillar pillar, starts stepping on others, and he steps on a young lady, a yellow caterpillar named Yellow. As the story goes, the two of them decide to come down the caterpillar pillar. They go back to their leaves and they have a happy life together until the bug gets him again. So after quite a while, he decides that he's going to re-enter the caterpillar pillar because he's wider and he's stronger and he's more determined and he's going to make it to the top. It's all about making it to the top. And you can see how this follows our human lives as well. So he leaves poor Yellow behind and she's having adventures on her own. One adventure starts here, when she discovers a caterpillar doing something very strange. This caterpillar is hanging upside down from a branch. And here's the conversation. "You seem in trouble," she said. "Can I help?" "No, my dear," he answered. "I have to do this to become a butterfly." A butterfly? Tell me, sir, what is a butterfly? It's what you are meant to become. It flies with beautiful wings and joins the earth to heaven. It drinks only nectar from the flowers and carries the seed of love from one flower to another. And then this is where I had my epiphany of the book, if you will. This became one of my favorite quotes ever. So this is why I've brought this book to share today. The conversation continues, and Yellow asks, "Please, sir, how does one become a butterfly?" And the answer she received, "You must want to fly so much that you are willing to give up being a caterpillar." So I think that gives a great introduction to this book and how relatable it is to so many people, and especially in the work that you do as well.
Absolutely, yes.
You know, people come to us, and that's the question. They know where they are, they know where they want to get to. The question is how. And there's with the transformational coaching I was doing at the time, that was just a eureka for me.
Yes, that is really beautiful. So how did you find this book?
As a lot of things, and I know your life and mine, synchronicity. I was at the cottage, I was well into my coaching and energy work at the time, and a neighbor from a neighboring cottage came over, knew that I was into butterflies, knew that I was in the butterfly, you know, as the butterfly whisperer. Because it was about a butterfly, she thought that I would really enjoy it. Little did she know how strong the message was for me and those that I work with.
Wow, that's just incredible. Really neat. And it's funny because when I was sitting here looking at it, I thought, oh, this is kind of like a children's book for adults.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what you've described.
Yes.
And I really like that kind of message with the metaphors, because I find that people can relate to it better if they can sort of follow that story and see how, you know, when you said that they were going up the caterpillar pillar and he was stepping on people, I mean, I could see that in the business world and how you have to fight to get ahead, and it doesn't matter who you hurt, you know. That's how we're taught to be in the business world, and really that's not the truth of real life at all.
Right, and that is, I mean, the story goes on, and I can read other little quotes if you wish, but the thing that people don't always realize is everything that we're aspiring to become, we already are. It's already in us, right? And so we spend so much time looking outside of ourselves about how we should be, what we should want, how we should act, what other people are feeding us in terms of information, when just like the grand oak tree, the blueprint is in the acorn, right? So we really are butterflies. And one of the things I learned early on in life when I was doing a lot of traveling, just lost my glasses. When I was doing a lot of traveling, I noticed that it didn't matter about the cultural differences, which there are many. Didn't matter where I went, people were all the same. The second thing I really picked up on at a young age was a lot of people were spending a lot of times acting like caterpillars when really we had wings to fly, right? And so that really got me interested into the whole sense of transformation. And again, so many people spend so much time looking outside when really the answers are inside.
Absolutely.
So how do you tap into that?
Right. I can remember it wasn't really too long ago that I was saying to friends that I was looking for a mentor, and they just nodded and smiled, and I paid, you know, money to different people to try and find this mentor, and then it suddenly hit me, nobody else has my answers. I've got my answers, as do we all. We have our own answers. I think really what it is, it's more about holding space for people while they are trying to find their own connection to their own answers.
Well, absolutely, and coincidentally, I actually, in my education path, I did a business degree. I actually ended up with an MBA. And that was one of the things that really struck me as interesting, because as a lot of us did, we graduated and went into consulting. And I thought, isn't this interesting that these consultants, we're being hired to go into an organization which is no more than a collection of individuals, right? And we're imparting our expertise on top of the people that actually have all of the answers, right? And so that's what switched me from consulting to coaching, right? Because it is exactly as you're mentioning, it's the holding the space and helping to elicit that from the person that you're working with.
Exactly.
Because Jessie, you're the expert on you, right?
Yeah.
And yet sometimes we don't always realize that, and so it takes, you know, kindness and compassion and some training to help get that from somebody,
right?
To get that out of them, so that they can see it too, so that they can look in the mirror and go, ah, yes, you know, this is a reflection of me. This is who I am.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's a really good point.
Yeah. And read me some more. I'm fascinated.
I really picked up on something that you said, and I want to look for a particular passage where Stripe has re-entered the caterpillar pillar with all that determination, you know, so this time he's still trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Right.
He's left the love of his life behind, you know, now thinking that he's going to find a better world. The whole, you know, it's that natural drive to get higher, to go up there. He knows there's something up there. He doesn't know what, and nobody can tell him. So he's re-entered. So he's very close to the top, and now he's realizing the really ugliness about being at the top and what happens. And he's actually witnessed caterpillars, fellow caterpillars, kicking the top ones off so that they could get to the very top. So he's close to the top, and it says, Stripe became angry as well as frustrated. My pillar, he moaned, one of thousands. So he just looked up from the very top, and what he noticed was, well, actually, I don't know if we can get this onto the camera, but there are multiple caterpillar pillars everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's just discovered them. So this is his epiphany, if you will. Millions of caterpillars climbing nowhere. So he's just realized that he is one of the millions that is absolutely determined to get to the top. And he's just had the realization that all the caterpillars, millions of them, are going nowhere. That's not what you need, right?
Exactly.
And the actual lesson of the book is the quickest way to get high is to fly, not to climb.
Nice. Right? Oh, I like that.
Think about that in our lives. The fastest way to get to where we want to go is to be who we already are, to do what's natural.
Exactly.
Right? Don't go outside.
Yeah.
Don't look outside for the answers to, you know, it's natural to want more and to better yourself, right? But the quickest way to get to who you truly are is to accept who you truly are.
And that's what has brought me the greatest joy and the most peace in my life, is to just be myself. Because of course, whatever my background was, I grew up thinking that I wasn't enough. I can remember all my port cards, could do better. And thinking that I was classified as the clown in my family, so that of course always had to be on, always had to be funny, but that wasn't really me. And so with those two things going at me inside, I always thought I had to perform and I had to be something other than what I was to get where I wanted to go. And that just caused so much angst and so forth inside me. And it wasn't until I realized it's just be yourself.
Yes.
Who you truly are. And you really do fly. I mean, my life has just taken off with all kinds of things since I've come to that realization.
Yeah. That makes my heart sing.
Yeah.
And see, my whole message is to go out there and share your wings with the world. And you are such a prime example of that. You are sharing your wings with the world, doing with what the wings that you were given, right?
Yeah.
And look at the joy and inspiration that you bring to others. And it's not that you don't do work, but it's effortless. Right?
Quite,
because
yeah.
it's natural. What you are doing now is natural.
Right? And it's funny how it came about, because I think I've told this story before. I was at just a sleepover with some other women, and we were laughing and talking, and I told about a dream that I'd always wanted to have a little radio show at 2 a.m. and play the records I wanted and talk about the books I wanted. And somebody said, "Oh, you're way too animated for radio. You need to be on TV."
Yeah.
And that was it. I went, "Oh, I know somebody that was just talking about how they put their own show together." And she told me who to call and what to do, and boom, here I am, second season, and still just having a blast. So, and yeah, it was just because somebody said, yeah, just be you. You're just, you're just great, just as you are. And yeah, so how did you become the butterfly whisperer? That's what I want to know.
Oh, yes. Well, similar to what we're talking about, I think really the butterfly whisperer became me.
Yeah.
It happened when I was 5 years old, and I experienced for the first time watching a monarch butterfly emerge from the chrysalis.
Oh,
and I knew, even at that early age, I knew that I had just witnessed a miracle. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, you don't have the vocabulary when you're 5 years old.
Right.
But I knew that, and that moment went on to impact everything that I did in life. And so over the years, every single summer, I've been raising and releasing and whispering to monarch butterflies.
That is so cool.
And but of course, life goes on, and it's only in the summer living here in Canada.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting how it became so big, similar to what you were just talking about. And there's an epiphany kind of in there, if you would like me to share that.
Absolutely,
that story.
yes.
All right, so a number of things emerged all at the same time for my epiphany. So I just spent 7 years in Halifax, had just returned to Ontario, taken a corporate gig to do that. And so I was working in the city in Toronto. But what came with me is when I was in Halifax, I'd done a lot of, as a lot of your guests do a lot of training in energy work. So I had my one arm was energy work, so I did the standard, therapeutic touch, became a Reiki master, EFT practitioner, road trip to California to be trained in the Heart Math Institute.
Oh,
and
nice.
so I came here with all of that, was well into my transformational coaching, but I had these two lives. I had corporate during the week, and I had the transformational coaching, energy work on the weekends, and in the summer I would do the butterflies. And I was just amazed at the impact I was having on people's lives with the butterflies and the butterfly releasing and whispering that I was doing with them. And I always knew that I should be doing this on a grander level, getting it out, but up to then I had done no marketing whatsoever. And part of that was people in my circles would find it a little woo-woo, right? I mean, let's face it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, what would my corporate colleagues think of this girl that's going out and whispering to butterflies, right? So that's what I came to Ontario with. And so it must have been around 2000, 2003. So the first thing that happened was, it was exactly a year to the day after my father passed away that I had a spiritual butterfly experience. All right, and I actually write about that in the book that I'm working on right now. The second thing around the same time was I was introduced to the work of Greg Braden, right, who you will be familiar with. So here's this this amazing man who has researched so well things like the ancient wisdom and spirituality, and now he was bringing new science to the forefront. So all of a sudden he was mixing in quantum physics and quantum healing and bringing that to the forefront of regular conversations, so getting it out so that more people were paying attention.
Right.
And things like science is now catching up with the fact of what has been said for a long time: we're all connected, we're all energy, we are all one, that sort of thread. So I'm going, oh, isn't that interesting? Because if we're all one and we're all energy, this butterfly whispering and sending messages up. So shortly thereafter, and this is where my epiphany really happened, was I made a discovery of an ancient butterfly legend. And that butterfly legend states that if you capture a butterfly, in exchange for giving the butterfly its freedom, if you whisper a wish to that butterfly, it'll take that wish up to the Great Spirit to be granted.
Nice.
Well, that was the last sign that I needed to know that in the business world we say go big or go home, right? So I knew that I was to get the message out on a global scale. So now all of a sudden I had spirituality, I had ancient wisdom, and I had new science backing up all of this. And this was my sign, say, you know what, this is the time. And before I knew it, I had people from around the world emailing me messages to whisper to butterflies and send them up on their behalf.
Wow.
So it's just, and different to the butterfly legend, I expand this out. As long as it's a high vibrational message, I will send them up on my butterflies. So I've been raising monarchs for 45 years.
Wow.
Right? And so, but I don't limit it like the legend says. I'll do wishes, prayers, blessings, affirmations, messages on behalf of others. So if you want to celebrate someone's adoption or, you know, retirement or anniversary weddings, that sort of thing. And I also I have special programs for grieving children and women healing from abuse. And through that work, I've become known for giving wings to silent voices. Right? Yeah. And one of my greatest joys is working with people, and I'm quite sought after for literally sending messages to those that have crossed over. So all of this can be done within my butterfly whispering framework. It's done in different ways and with great ceremony depending on the choices of the messages. Yeah. But it's big, it's exciting, and it just impacts people. It's just so.
That is really wonderful. I mean, I actually had no idea how expansive the work you do is, because I've seen you, you know, just here in town do a couple of releases, and I've heard about different people who have utilized your releases, but I didn't know the depth of it, and that really is beautiful. I love that, especially the silent voices. Now, I immediately jumped to, is that about babies that have been stillborn, or what do you mean by silent voices?
Well, I was using it in the context of two very distinct groups that a lot of people can relate to. So if you want to look at, for example, grieving children, all right, children can be so traumatized by the loss of anyone, and including pets. It's amazing how many people come to me wanting to send messages for, you know, departed pets. And so even if children are in therapy, it's really hard for them to express how they truly feel inside. But it's not difficult for them to speak to a butterfly, because they're children and they're on that level. They understand it, right? And so to be able to kind of give their personal private secrets to a butterfly and watch that release so it gets it out of them. The same with, and again, I'll just use the example of women healing from abuse. Same thing. Usually there's a lot of fear and often terror because of their situations. You put them in front of a therapist, they may speak or they may not, because of the threats that often come with it. So you get them with a butterfly. You put them in a safe space where there's no judgment, there's no anything. It's a way for them to be with the butterfly, release what's inside, release that up into the beautiful sun. Like the imagery itself is amazing. Once you release that, then that creates the space to start the healing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And to your question, you know, a stillborn child, yes, if you have grieving parents or family members, yes, it can be done in a similar way, right? So I customize everything that I do. Now there's, you know, for example, I may do a themed release. You were at one of them. So let's say we were doing a release for peace. We could have a release for peace day, and people would either come on site or they would send me messages and we would have a mass release. But normally, my greatest joy is working one-on-one with people, so it's really specific to what they want. And now what I'm doing, and I'm taking it more online to streamline it and get it out there more, is so that if you live in the Arctic and you need a butterfly and you want to send a message, then it's going to be easier now to contact me, send me the message, and I do that ceremoniously on your behalf. I send you a photo of the exact butterfly that sent up your message. And they're all, you know, they're all messages from the heart.
Yeah. Right? Oh, that's so beautiful. Now, what I was thinking was, I have several sisters, and one of them passed away 5 years ago.
I'm sorry.
And thank you. And we did that, what is now unfortunate, and probably was then. We released 70 balloons.
Yes.
And of course, I just saw something again about how that, you know, has killed various animals, and I just, I felt horrible. So could we have done 70 butterflies? Or would it rather be one butterfly with a message? It was because she was in her, she was 70 when she passed.
Yes.
And it was totally unexpected, so we just really wanted to, we wanted to send the message that we knew there was more. to come.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
I mean, I'm a minister because of her. So
I didn't know that part of your story.
Yeah, she was one of my biggest supporters and cheerleaders about my spiritual walk, and I shared it with her. And so when she passed, because it was sudden, we were all in shock, and her kids knew that I had done funerals for other friends, so they asked me to handle everything. So what I did is I kind of threw a party. We went to the Knights of Columbus Hall, and we had the tables all sitting at off angles because we didn't want to just be lined up in chairs. And she did scrapbooking. She had over 30 books done, so we had those out. She said that she rediscovered her childhood at 65 and started to crayon everything. So we had a place where everybody could go crayon. We had this huge brandy snifter full of Skittles because that was her favorite thing. And anyway, as I was giving her eulogy, I literally felt the call of God. And it said to me, everything you've done, everything you've studied, everything you know has brought you to this moment. This is where you're supposed to be. And so as it worked out, I actually studied rituals and ceremonies from around the world, and then I studied how to build a marriage ceremony, incorporating various rituals. So all of what you talk about just, you know, just sits in my heart so beautifully because it's what I love about what I do. So to get an answer to my question, how would you have seen that? One butterfly with the wishes of all of us, or?
Again, I would work with the person. For example, and you could do a combination. So for example, if there were people that couldn't come to the actual ceremony, they could send messages in advance to be whispered, and you could have either a single butterfly for all of those and whisper all of those, so that there's one butterfly carrying those extras, and then you could have the people who are on site at the actual day whispering their own and sending it up. Or you could have literally, if there was a special number, in this case it was 70, if there was a special number, then you could, and if you had more wishes than that special number, you could incorporate that into whatever you choose. It's really, it can be just similar to what you do. You work with your clients and find out what works best for them.
Right.
So a combination, yeah.
That's wonderful. Kimberly, I just want to thank you for being here today. And the book is called Hope for the Flowers by Trina Paulus. And now I have to find a copy of this because it's just beautiful. Thank you so much. The Butterfly Whisperer, Kimberly Sunshine Parry. And is your name actually Sunshine, or is that your nickname?
It's a nickname that has, you know, stood the test of time. So more people call me Sunshine than Kim, so I just use it now.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming to Epiphanies.
Honored to be here. Thank you, Jessie.
Thank you. And thank you for dropping in to Epiphanies. We'll see you again.